With Americans scrambling to make the tax deadline, where's the scramble for tax cuts? Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Payne in for Neil Cavuto. This week, the Tax Foundation releasing a report showing the House GOP's tax reform plan will create 1.7 million jobs and boost incomes by nearly 9%. But now, Charlie Gasparino is hearing talk that tax cuts for businesses may not be as big as they're expecting. And the president telling Maria Bartiromo that August deadline is moving. So where exactly is this going? Jerry Willis, Ben Stein, and Adam Lashinsky are also here. Charlie, so what exactly are you hearing?
Well, the White House is filled with economists like Ben Stein. There are no supply.
You say that in a good way or a bad way?
I'm gonna put my glasses on for this.
Non-judgmental way, right?
No, it's non-judgmental. No, listen, I love Ben. Ben's one of the smartest guys I know. But let's be real clear here. There are no supply siders in the Trump White House, and not a lot in the House in the Republican leadership positions. So no one's using dynamic accounting. They're not saying let's cut the taxes and let the revenues roll in. What they're saying is in order to do a massive tax cut for businesses, which everybody, I think, on this panel probably thinks is a good thing,
sure,
since it's the highest in the world, we need to somehow do health care reform first. And but if we can't get health care reform first and those savings, then we're going to ratchet stuff back. And one of the plans that's being talked about is ratcheting down the not doing a corporate tax cut at all, but doing some sort of a repatriation thing terrible. Where you be, well, let me just say what they might have to replace it with, a repatriation deal where businesses would repatriate their profits overseas, get taxed at a lower rate, and that would be used for infrastructure payments, but you wouldn't get that great corporate tax cut.
Right. A lot of things, Jerry, aren't as they were advertised. I thought we would get lower taxes and repatriation to pay for infrastructure, but this is getting more, it feels like it's getting more complicated, not less.
Well, Charlie makes a good point. So here's what's going on. Here's why you can't do big tax cuts, because you don't have the Obamacare reform yet. That had 20 taxes in it, $1 trillion worth of taxes in it. If you reset that, then you have all kinds of rooms for all kinds of big tax cuts. But we're waiting. I'm just afraid it's never going to happen.
Ben, the clock is ticking, and, listen, a lot of people are expecting tax cuts on both sides, right, for corporations and for individuals. I think this is one campaign promise that must happen.
I think it should happen. I must say, most of my life savings, my wife's life savings, our son's life savings, are in corporate stock. We like the idea of the corporate tax rate being cut. There never was a good reason for there to be a corporate tax at all. Corporations are owned by individuals and groups of individuals. They should be taxed at the individual level. That being said, there's no evidence that supply side works. Charlie's now reaching for the There's no evidence that supply side works.
There's no evidence it doesn't work.
That's the reason why so few economists believe in it. Yes, there is a post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Well, let's bring in Adam. Let's bring in Adam. I will say this, though. A lot of people who voted for President Trump felt like this was the second coming of Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan's success is centered around either the belief or the myth. It depends on where you come from. That supply side propelled this economy for many years, even after his presidency, Adam.
Yeah, well, I know this is going to go directly to Charlie's head, but he does make an excellent point about there being neither supply siders in the White House nor in the House, with the exception of Speaker Ryan. And what the president is facing here, and the reason he's doing this, is he's going to if he were to try to do what Charlie is advocating, he would have the same kind of revolt on his hands with the deficit hawks that he had with the health care bill that failed.
Exactly.
Those people don't want to do that, and they're in his party.
That's why you do health care first, because you have to have the savings.
That's why he's in such a mess.
But to your point, Jerry, remember this week when all the CEOs met for infrastructure, they were supposed to come out there with a way to pay for infrastructure, but they came out with the sobering epiphany, to your point, we got to bring back health care first.
Exactly right. I got to tell you that this is a very important first step, not just because of the money, but also because you're signaling to the people who voted for the president that, yes, I understand what's going on. I'm on your page. I'm making good on my promises.
It would be nice if Republicans just, got some courage up and did this. I mean, they sit here, they're worrying about the CBO, they're worrying about this. Ronald Reagan, how much time do you think he was hand-wringing before about
I'm not sure how the CBO got this much power in the first place.
I don't know why.
I'm not sure where their numbers come from. That's a bigger question.
They get everything wrong. I want to know why the Republican Party has turned into a bunch of wussies. I mean,
I'll tell you why.
Adam will be happy to explain.
I think you're wrong.
That's a very deep question.
I think you're wrong. The Freedom Caucus sees itself as principled. They actually believe the things they're saying, Charlie, and that's why they voted against the president's plan on health care and why they won't support this corporate tax cut.
So, Adam,
and what's wrong with being a deficit hawk? I mean, do we want to pass on to our children and grandchildren a bankrupt America? The way we're heading, this country is not going to be able to continue servicing its debt if interest rates rise.
I don't know, maybe you don't remember this, Ben, but under Ronald Reagan, the deficit as a percentage of the budget went down after his tax cuts. Don't you remember that?
The budget went, wait a minute, Charlie. We've been, Charlie, we both have gray hair. We've been over this, my dear friend. The deficit went way, way up in the first few years.
No,
then he raised taxes a lot. In 86 and 87, he had enormous tax increases.
But wait a second. He didn't change the upper rates. He didn't, like, blow out. He didn't go back to Obama.
He took away the loopholes. He took away the loopholes.
Let's go.
Believe me, I knew those loopholes well.
Because you know why?
And you enjoyed them. By the way,
what's good about that?
By the way, guys, hold on a second, because part of any new tax cuts / reforms will probably include getting rid of a lot of loopholes and getting rid of some deductions and things like that. So de facto, Jerry,
they're not
it might
loopholes. They're good things.
Well, de facto, though, Jerry, it might actually mean that some of the upper echelon folks will net nothing out of this.
Well,
but that might make it more politically palatable.
That's right. That's right. That's the interesting twist that's going on here. You know, everybody talks about Trump being this incredible conservative. The reality is that he strides both sides of the aisle, and in fact, some of his policies would not be a benefit to the wealthy. And I think when you look deep into how he wanted to reform taxes, there are elements of it that don't help the 1%. It's absolutely true. And I've got to tell you, the fact that Democrats don't sign on to this is amazing to me.
But you know, think of it this way.
We don't need help. We don't need help. The 1% don't need help.
Why do we need loopholes? I mean, loopholes distort incentives. I mean, loopholes cause people to buy homes when they should. No, yeah, right. And some of that wasn't good, man.
They help people buy houses.
Yeah, and it caused a housing crisis, and now their houses aren't worth as much.
No, that did not cause a housing crisis.
We're one of the major.
We're going to veer a little bit too far off the topic here. So let me ask Adam.
There's a Lehman Brothers crisis.
Jerry just mentioned the role of Democrats. If President Trump is moving more to the center / left, where will the Democrats meet him? Because, listen, they do still have some responsibility in this thing we call governing.
Oh, that's a funny statement to be making, but okay, I'll answer your substantive question, which is where will they meet him? I know we're talking specifically about corporate taxes. I think many would be willing to meet him on corporate taxes, but not on the individual taxes. So that's what he has to play with.
Yeah, we know that. I agree. I think everyone understands it's got to be corporate taxes, maybe tax reform, and maybe repatriation. What are the rates you're hearing? The ranges now? I mean, 15% is out, right, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, it depends. If to your point, if they get health care done, I think we're going to see 15 to 20%.
There's no way 15 is getting
Where's that money going to come from?
There's no reason to assume they'll get health care done.
Listen to me what I'm saying. If they get health care done, the corporate tax rate...
But why would you assume that?
Because this is what I'm hearing in Congress. That's what they're saying. They're going to do it if they can get the health care thing done. If they don't get health care done, guys, all bets are off.
So, Ben, where do you think the lowest rate could possibly go with respect to the CBO and also getting something done in Washington, D.C.?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, for people who are not well-to-do, the lowest rate should be 0. But for the top 1%, I don't see any reason why the rate shouldn't go up a lot. If people are rich, they can afford to pay more tax.
That's
the meaning of being rich.
He means corporate.
On the corporate side, but let's leave it there.
No, on the corporate side, it should be 0.
Okay.
It should be 0.
Okay. Well, I think we might have some 3 out of 4 ain't bad.